When my car slammed into the guardrail, my only thought wasn't the broken bones or the blood. It was my 6-week-old daughter waiting at home. From the hospital bed, I made one desperate phone call to my parents. They answered and refused to help. My mother actually said, "Your sister has a Caribbean cruise tomorrow. We can't ruin her plans for another one of your emergencies." I hung up in shock, hired emergency childcare with my last savings, and made one financial decision that cost my parents nearly $500,000. But nothing compared to what happened a few hours later, when Grandpa walked into my hospital room. My name is Emma Carter. I'm 32 years old, and 6 weeks before everything fell apart, I gave birth to the most beautiful little girl I'd ever seen. Her name is Lily. Every sleepless night, every diaper change, every tiny smile reminded me that nothing in my life mattered more than her. My husband, Daniel, had been sent to Seattle for a 3-day engineering conference, leaving me and Lily at home until he returned. That Tuesday morning started like any other. I had just finished a pediatric checkup and was driving home, already planning an afternoon nap while Lily slept beside me in her rear-facing car seat. Then another driver ignored a red light. The impact spun my car into a guardrail. When I opened my eyes, paramedics were already outside the window. My shoulder burned with pain, but I barely noticed. "My baby," I shouted. "Please check my baby." One paramedic smiled gently. "She's okay. She's frightened, but she's safe." Relief flooded through me. At the hospital, doctors confirmed I had a fractured collarbone, several bruised ribs, and needed to stay overnight for observation. My first thought wasn't myself, it was Lily. With trembling hands, I called my parents. Mom answered. "I've been in an accident," I whispered. "Can you please keep Lily tonight?" Her sigh came before her answer. "Emma, your sister leaves for a Caribbean cruise tomorrow. We are not canceling her plans because of another one of your emergencies." For a few seconds, I couldn't even speak. I stared at the phone, hoping my father would take it from Mom and say she didn't mean it. Instead, I heard him quietly agree in the background. "Your mother is right. Your sister has been planning this vacation for months." The line went dead. I wasn't angry anymore. I was simply done. A hospital social worker noticed the tears I was trying to hide and asked if I had anyone who could care for my daughter. When I admitted I didn't, she immediately connected me with a licensed emergency newborn caregiver. Within an hour, I watched through a secure video call as a kind woman named Melissa gently rocked Lily to sleep in my living room. For the first time since the crash, I could finally breathe. As I lay in the hospital bed, another realization hit me. For 9 years, I'd quietly paid nearly $4,500 every month toward my parents' mortgage, utilities, insurance, and medical bills. They believed those payments came from an investment account Dad had built years ago. They never knew every dollar came from me. I opened my banking app. One by one, I canceled every automatic transfer, mortgage assistance, utility payments, insurance premiums, medical reimbursements. Each confirmation appeared with a single tap. I felt strangely calm. Just as I locked my phone, a nurse stepped into my room and smiled gently. "Emma," she said, "there's an older gentleman here asking for you. My grandfather says it's urgent." A minute later, the door opened. My grandfather, William Carter, stepped inside carrying a small bouquet of white daisies. At 78, his back wasn't as straight as it used to be, but his eyes still noticed everything. He looked around the room before smiling at me. "Where's everyone?" he asked. "I figured your parents would already be here with Lily." I swallowed hard. "They're not coming." His smile disappeared. "What do you mean?" I took a slow breath and told him everything, from the accident to my phone call, to Mom refusing because my younger sister's Caribbean cruise was more important than helping her own granddaughter. Grandpa listened without interrupting once. When I finished, he lowered his head for several seconds. "I knew your parents favored your sister," he said quietly. "I've seen it for years." He looked back at me, disappointment written across his face. "But I never believed they'd abandon you during something like this." His voice grew even softer. "So they refused to protect their own 6-week-old granddaughter?" I nodded. "They never even asked if Lily was safe." Grandpa closed his eyes briefly before letting out a long, painful sigh. This isn't about money, he said. This is about character. Then he gently squeezed my hand. Emma, you've carried this family far longer than anyone realizes. He stood up and reached for his coat. Rest, he said calmly. I'll handle the rest. Before I could ask what he meant, he walked out of the room with quiet determination, leaving me wondering what was about to happen next. I didn't hear from Grandpa until the following afternoon. Instead, my phone exploded with missed calls. Mom, Dad, my sister, Rachel, even 2 cousins I hadn't spoken to in years. I ignored everyone. A few hours later, Grandpa called. I thought you deserved to know what happened, he said calmly. He had invited everyone to his house that morning, saying it was an urgent family matter. My parents arrived expecting sympathy. Rachel spent the first 10 minutes complaining about how stressful it would have been to postpone her Caribbean cruise. Then Grandpa quietly told them exactly what I had told him. The room went silent. Rachel insisted they couldn't cancel an expensive vacation over one unexpected accident. Grandpa looked directly at her. Your niece is 6 weeks old. No one answered. Then he turned toward my parents. For 9 years, Emma has protected this family without asking for praise. Dad frowned. What are you talking about? Grandpa slid several printed bank statements across the table. Those mortgage payments, the insurance, the utility bills you depended on every month? He paused. Emma paid every single one. Mom's face drained of color. That's impossible. Grandpa shook his head. It stopped yesterday. Just then Dad's phone buzzed. Their mortgage payment had failed. Seconds later came another notification. Insurance payment declined. Another. Utility payment canceled. Mom whispered. She stopped everything. Grandpa folded his hands. You chose convenience over your own daughter and granddaughter. Then he stood. Now you get to live with the consequences of your own decisions. Within minutes, my parents were driving toward the hospital, desperate to undo what they'd broken. My parents arrived less than an hour later. Mom rushed into my hospital room first, tears already running down her face. Emma, please, she whispered. We made a terrible mistake. Dad stood behind her, unusually quiet. I looked at them for a long moment before speaking. Did you come because I was hurt? I asked calmly. Or because the payment stopped? Neither of them answered. That silence told me everything. Mom reached for my hand. We weren't thinking clearly. No, I replied. You were thinking very clearly. You simply decided Rachel's vacation mattered more than your daughter and granddaughter. She lowered her head. I'll cancel the cruise, Rachel suddenly offered from the doorway. I shook my head. This was never about a cruise. The room fell silent. It was about discovering who would show up when Lily and I needed family the most. Grandpa stepped beside my bed. Without raising his voice, he said, Respect isn't something parents automatically receive. It's something every person continues to earn. No one argued. I looked back at my parents. The financial support is over. Not because I want revenge, but because I finally understand the difference between helping people and enabling them. Months later, my shoulder had healed, Daniel was home, and Lily was growing stronger every day. Life became quieter, healthier. Grandpa visited every Sunday, making Lily laugh before she could even talk. As for my parents, rebuilding trust would take far longer than rebuilding their finances. Because broken bones eventually heal. Broken priorities leave much deeper scars.